Let's talk about one of the biggest fears people have about retirement. It's that nagging question, right? What if I run out of money? With pensions basically becoming a thing of the past, that pressure is now squarely on our shoulders to create our own paycheck for life. Well, today, we're going to break down a tool designed to do exactly that, the Annuity Income Rider.
All right, here's our game plan. We're going to kick things off by talking about this paycheck problem. Then we'll get a crystal clear definition of what an income rider is. Next, we'll pop the hood and see how it actually works, stack it up against the more traditional way of doing things, and then we'll wrap up by tackling the big question. Is this actually the right move for you? You know, for our parents' or grandparents' generation, a pension often meant you were set. A steady check every month for life. But that world is pretty much gone. Now it's on us. We've spent decades building up that nest egg in our 401ks and IRAs, but just having a big pile of money leaves one huge critical question totally unanswered.
And that's the real heart of the matter, isn't it? I mean, saving up a lump sum of money is one thing. It's a massive challenge on its own. But figuring out how to turn it into a reliable stream of income that you absolutely cannot outlive, especially with the stock market doing its crazy roller coaster thing, that is a whole different ballgame.
So how do we solve this puzzle? Well, one of the answers that comes from the insurance world is something called an income rider. So let's dive in and get a really clear definition of what this thing is.
Okay, so an income rider, which you might also hear called a guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit, or GLWB, is basically an optional feature you can add to an annuity. Now, the real magic, the part you've got to pay attention to, is that last phrase. It guarantees you an income, even if your account value runs out. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the core promise.
If we're going to boil this whole thing down to its two most powerful benefits, this is it. Number one, you get a paycheck that you absolutely cannot outlive. And number two, and this is so important, unlike some other strategies, you actually keep ownership and control of your money. This is a huge distinction that we're going to come back to.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Guaranteed income for life sounds amazing, maybe even a little too good to be true. How can an insurance company actually make a promise like that? So let's go ahead and look under the hood and see how the engine on this thing really works.
The best way to get your head around this is to picture two separate buckets. The first bucket has your real money in it, your actual account value. This is the money that can grow with the market and is the money you can still access. The second bucket, well, that's just the insurance company's calculator money. It's a hypothetical number, kind of like funny money, that they use for one thing and one thing only, to figure out how big your lifetime paycheck is going to be.
So here's how it plays out. First, you add the rider when you get the annuity. Then, while you're waiting to retire, that calculator bucket, your income base, it just grows and grows at a guaranteed rate, say 6% a year, totally separate from what the market is doing. Then, when you're ready to retire, you just turn on the income faucet. From that point on, you get payments for life, calculated off that bigger calculator number, even if, and this is the amazing part, your real money bucket eventually goes to zero.
Of course, a guarantee like this isn't free. Nothing is, right? Insurance companies typically charge an annual fee for this rider, usually somewhere around 1.2% of your account value. It's probably best to think of it as the insurance premium you're paying to basically transfer the huge risk of running out of money off of your shoulders and onto theirs.
Now, to really understand why an income rider can be so valuable, we have to compare it to the old school alternative, which is called annuitization. Trust me, understanding the difference here is absolutely key to making a smart decision.
Really, the choice here boils down to one simple word for each option. For an income rider, that word is flexibility. For annuitization the old school way, that word is finality. And by finality, I mean it is a permanent, you can't go back, irreversible decision. Just look at the massive differences here. With an income rider, you keep control of your money. You can still get to your account value if you need a chunk of cash, and whatever is left when you pass away goes to your family. With traditional annuitization, you hand over a lump sum of your money and it is gone forever. You can't touch it, it won't grow anymore, and usually there's nothing left for your beneficiaries. The rider gives you income and control. Annuitization gives you income, but you give up all control.
Okay, so we've talked about the what and the how and that huge difference between flexibility and finality. Now for the most important part, the so what. Who is this tool actually for? Let's figure out if it might be a good fit for your toolkit.
So who should really be looking at this? Well, it could be a really strong fit if you're basically trying to build your own personal pension. It's for people who are worried about the stock market's ups and downs, but also really want to leave a legacy for their family. It can also be pretty handy for IRA owners, because that guaranteed income can actually satisfy the required minimum distributions, those RMDs, that you have to start taking later in life.
But look, it's definitely not for everyone. If you need every last dollar of your money to be totally liquid, or if you're younger and your main goal is just aggressive growth, this probably isn't the right tool for you right now. Same thing if you're lucky enough to already have a solid pension, or maybe if you're in poor health and you're not as concerned about lifetime income, then that fee for the guarantee might not be worth it.
And really, that's the bottom line. In this new world without pensions, the big challenge is how to create a paycheck you can't outlive, but do it without having to give up total control of your life savings. The Income Rider was designed to solve that exact problem, blending the security of a paycheck with the flexibility of an investment. So I guess the question you've got to ask yourself is, what price would you put on that kind of peace of mind?